Welcome back to our channel, where stories are not just told, they're felt. Today, I want to share with you a modern folktale that begins with a little girl's loud cry in the middle of a grand party. It may sound like a small moment, but sometimes the smallest voices carry the greatest truths. Once upon a time, in a shining glass tower at the heart of the city, lived a man who was known for his wealth, his influence, and his pride. His name was Mr. Raymond, CEO of one of the largest companies in town. His name appeared in newspapers, magazines, and even on television. People admired him for his sharp business sense and envied the empire he had built. He owned mansions with tall iron gates, yachts that gleamed under the sun, and a fleet of luxury cars, each more dazzling than the last. When he entered a room, people straightened their backs and adjusted their smiles, eager to impress him. He had everything: wealth, power, recognition. Yet despite all this, there was something missing. He had little time for ordinary people. Every evening, as he left his office, he would pass by the building's janitor, a quiet man named Thomas. Thomas was a man in his 50s, with calloused hands and a back slightly bent from years of work. He never complained. He swept the marble floors, polished the doorknobs until they shone, and made sure the CEO's building looked spotless every morning. Most people barely noticed him. To them, he was part of the background, like the mop or the broom he carried. But Thomas had something precious, a daughter named Lily. She was only 9 years old, with bright, curious eyes and a spirit far greater than her size. Sometimes, when Thomas had to work late, Lily would come with him. She would sit in the corner of the lobby, her school books spread out, doing homework under the soft light of the chandeliers. Other times, she would help her father, holding the dustpan or wiping a table with her tiny hands. To most people, Lily was invisible. Just the janitor's daughter. People passed her without a second glance. But Lily had something rare. She paid attention. She noticed things others ignored, and she spoke with the kind of honesty only children dare to. One evening, the company decided to throw a grand celebration in honor of Mr. Raymond's latest business triumph. It was said he had closed the biggest deal of his career, one that would make his company soar even higher. The ballroom was decorated with glittering chandeliers, silk curtains, and tables lined with golden plates. A live orchestra played in the background, their notes weaving through the laughter and chatter of the wealthy guests. Men in tailored suits and women in dazzling gowns filled the hall, their voices mingling with the clinking of crystal glasses. Trays of food passed by. Roasted meats, exotic fruits, and platters of desserts, each more tempting than the last. Cakes with sugar flowers, glossy tarts, chocolate towers, all lined up like treasures on display. Mr. Raymond stood at the center of it all, basking in the glow of admiration. People shook his hand, praised his genius, and toasted his success. He smiled, proud and untouchable, as if nothing in the world could bring him down. And then the moment arrived. A waiter placed a particularly elegant slice of cake before him. The dessert was almost too beautiful to eat. Its frosting glistened, a tiny gold leaf perched on top. He lifted his fork, ready to take the first bite. That was when it happened. A sharp, trembling voice broke through the music and laughter. "Don't eat that dessert!" All heads turned. The room fell silent. And there, standing by the corner, with wide eyes and shaking hands, was little Lily. The crowd gasped. Some guests exchanged amused glances. Others scoffed. A janitor's daughter had dared to shout at the richest man in the room. Mr. Raymond froze, his fork in midair. His face darkened, his pride stung. "And why not?" he demanded, his voice cold, echoing across the ballroom. For a moment, Lily shrank under his gaze, but then She straightened her back and spoke. "I saw the waiter put something in it. I don't think it's safe." A murmur spread through the crowd. Some laughed nervously, others whispered. Surely this was nonsense, a child's imagination running wild. Who would dare harm Mr. Raymond? But there was something in Lily's eyes, a spark of sincerity that made even the skeptical pause. Mr. Raymond narrowed his eyes. He wanted to dismiss her, to scold her for embarrassing himself. Yet deep down, something held him back. Perhaps instinct, perhaps the sheer conviction in her tone. He waved to his security. He ordered, "Test it." Minutes later, the truth came out. The dessert had indeed been poisoned. The room erupted in shock. People gasped, hands flew to mouths, and eyes darted nervously around. Somewhere in the crowd, the waiter had vanished, slipping away into the night. But in that moment, no one cared about the criminal. They cared about the miracle. Mr. Raymond's life had been saved, not by his guards, not by his wealth, not by his influence, but by the daughter of the janitor he had never once looked at properly. The proud CEO felt his chest tighten. For the first time in years, he saw his own arrogance. He looked at Lily, this small, trembling child who had risked ridicule to speak up. He walked towards her, and the crowd parted in silence. When he reached her, he knelt down, his voice gentler than anyone had ever heard it. "You saved my life," he said. "I owe you more than I can ever repay." That night, the celebration ended in whispers. But the next morning, the streets of the city buzzed with something far more shocking. Mr. Raymond's red Ferrari, gleaming under the sun, was seen parked not in front of a mansion, but in front of a small, modest house at the edge of town. Neighbors gathered, their eyes wide with disbelief, and when the door opened, it was Thomas and little Lily who stood there, bewildered at the sight. From that day on, their lives changed. Mr. Raymond made sure Lily received the best education, placing her in one of the finest schools in the city. He ensured Thomas no longer worked unseen in the shadows. He was given dignity, recognition, and security. Their family no longer struggled in silence. But the greatest change was not in them. It was in Mr. Raymond. For the first time, he learned that true worth does not come from money or status, but from courage, honesty, and the voices we too often ignore. So, tell me, if you had been in that ballroom, would you have listened to the janitor's daughter? Because sometimes the voices we ignore are the ones that carry the wisdom to change our fate.